John the Baptizer arrived from the hot wilderness to the cool banks of the River Jordan to create this fresh metaphor for the new beginning that the people of Israel just wished to see, this cleansing, this preparation for a new day for themselves and the world they knew, a day free of oppression, a day of liberation. And so you can just sense this excitement that the people who came down to the river that day to listen to the words and to make their declaration that they would stop living in the old ways and prepare themselves for something new and something better. You can see this place, by the way, or a place within a stone's throw of it. Today, pilgrims from all over the world arrive at this one point in the Jordan. They come by the busload and they come down to those places where they know that they can assemble in groups and wade down into the waters and be baptized or renew their baptisms or stand along the river bank and take photographs, as several of us from the church did a few years ago. It's a place of new beginnings. In the waters where Jesus came to be baptized by John and begin this prophetic ministry that changed absolutely everything. And it's this wonderful coincidence that fresh into the year we hear these stories of cleansing and of starting anew. And this new year offers the same. This is a time when we can look at our lives and decide to stop and turn around and make changes so that we can start with a fresh slate. And so in today's passage, John the Baptizer talked about how he was not worthy to untie the thong of the sandal of the one who is to come. And you know, in the Gospel of Mark, he talks about this baptism for the repentance, for the remission of sins. And the Greek word for repentance is metanoia, and it means a change of mind. The word remission has been used in place of the word forgiveness, and it's tied to the word repentance. And the word translated as remission was used by Greeks as a term for unfastening a boat that was tied to a post in order to launch it out into the water, set it free. And neither Mark nor Luke tell us why Jesus was baptized by John. And you know, the Gospel of John and Matthew, all four Gospels talk about this event, the baptism of Jesus. But what follows is significant. The opening of the heavens is a symbol of the start of a new idea about the communication between Creator and creation. We're not tied to our pasts. We're not defined by all that has defined us thus far. We have the opportunity to stop, to rethink, to re-examine and change our course and move out into fresh waters. The Gospels begin to define for us a new way of looking at our relationship to the divine. They say that we are forgiven if we ask for forgiveness, and in the act of asking forgiveness, we get to examine what it is that we need to let go of. And in the cleansing act of starting anew, we can ask, just how much baggage can I carry with me on my journey? It's a great old English word, isn't it? Baggage. It's not like suitcase or luggage, it's baggage. How much of this baggage do I have to carry around with me? And if I embrace a theology where I'm forgiven, just who the heck do I think I am by not forgiving myself as well as those with whom I come in contact? We can gather at the River Jordan just as those folks did with Jesus and John so long ago and just be liberated. It's the perfect time to step into the boat where a remission can occur, the ropes that tie you down to whatever holds you from being a fully realized child of God can be lifted up from a chaining post, and the ballast that weighs you down can be thrown overboard, and you can move out into fresh waters with a new sense of purpose. Someone once said that the tragedy of life is not that it ends so soon, but that we wait so long to figure out how to begin it. So, get on with it. I have to tell myself all that all the time. Just get on with it. Repair the relationship or let go of the grudge. Reach out to the person you've been meaning to know better. Take the class, make the change, start the program, get to the gym, write the book, or at least read one. Frederick Buechner said, "Listen to your life. Listen to your own life. Listen to what happens to you, because it is through you, and it is through that what happens to you that God speaks. It's in language that's not always easy to decipher, but it's there, powerfully, memorably, unforgettably. But as we do sail out into this new year, set a course with a sense of justice. See what ties the world back and work to set it free. If one could say that there's one theme in the Bible, someone once asked Jim Wallace at Sojourners, is there a single unifying theme in the Bible? And he had told the story about a seminarian, and the seminarian worked to find one single theme. He cut up scriptures, he put them together, he came up with this. In the Old Testament, I'm going to take that back. In the First Testament, the theme of caring for the poor and caring for the disenfranchised turned out to be the largest theme, right behind idolatry. In the New Testament, that theme comes up in 1 out of 10 verses. In the Gospels, it's 1 out of 7 verses, and he discovered in the letter of James, it's 1 out of 5 verses. That's a powerful testimony of what the gospel tells us. Digression, sorry. For Jesus, the emergence of John at the Jordan River, calling for baptism of the remission of sins, and his decision to be in close connection to the suffering of humanity was his call to action. Jesus chooses to be baptized, to go down into the waters such as someone would step down into a mikveh, a bath located just before the entry of the temple, at the beginning of a ministry that was all about teaching, healing, and breaking down barriers and widening the welcome. And so too then are we, people who are committed to being followers of Jesus. Our baptism is the same exact thing. It's a call to come up out of the waters, metaphorical or otherwise, changed and willing to change not only ourselves but the world around us, to empathize with the excluded by taking on their burden and by being a voice for the voiceless. That's what plunges us down into those waters and raises us up from that living water. Break down the barriers, widen the welcome. A Franciscan teacher, Richard Rohr. Have any of you been reading Richard Rohr? I've discovered him a little later on. He's quite the writer, isn't he? He's a Franciscan that the Catholics are beginning to have a little trouble with right now. I just discovered. He writes, most Christian, and he puts in quotes, believers, tend to echo the cultural prejudices and worldviews of the dominant group in their country, with only a minority revealing any real transformation of attitudes or consciousness. It has been true of slavery and racism, classism and consumerism, and issues of immigration and health care for the poor. I'm going to single a few of you out today. We have guests with us today who are working on bringing the Boy Scouts of America into our UCC churches after the steps the BSA have taken to be inclusive of LGBT people, even if there are repercussions that may cost many of our BSA troops their present church sponsorships. They've been caucusing here, as you've heard, at IUCC all weekend from all over the country. These are people who have been breaking down barriers and widening the welcome. I'm so proud of all of you, and I'm so thankful that you've come here to do this for us. But I'm going to single you out, Matt. Matt, you helped bring the first inclusive Boy Scout Troop 602, and I understand we're one of the first churches to do that. And so thank you for putting us on the map and bringing us Boy Scout Troop 602. Thank you, Matt. The book of Isaiah is broken down into 3 books. It's not just one book. It's really the voice of 3 prophets. we recognize now. And the first 39 books is called First Isaiah. They're laments of a city that's been shattered, a people dispersed, and their leaders broken. But in the next 15 chapters, it's called Second Isaiah. You can hear a prophet's voice, and in his voice you can hear hope. The people of Israel return. The city of Jerusalem is beginning to be called back into being again. The servant is called to serve, and we hear in Isaiah 43 these words of hope and connection. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. We have to claim ourselves as second Isaiah people. We may be living in what feels like first Isaiah times, but we have to be second Isaiah people. We have hope. We have to have the idea, the feeling, the belief that we have hope, that we are known, that we are needed, that we are a part of the whole. We have a role to play in the restoration of our world and our country and whatever has happened to the psyche of our people. In our baptism, we have been called to follow and to serve. And the prophet's voice calls back across time with words of assurance saying, do not fear, I will be with you. Do not fear are the most important words. And we know in this passage from Luke that something was going to happen. Someone, this Jesus, was going to step away from the crowd and begin a movement that was going to continue to change the world and tell the dream about building a realm of God right here, right now. It was a dream that his followers would work to make real from that time on, and we are the heirs. We are the ones who will follow that dream down now. And so my question for you this morning is, what are some of the things that you dream for your own community? What are the things that you dream for your country? What are the things you dream for this world? Or even, what are the things you dream now at this time for your church? What stops you from stepping away from the crowd and declaring that in order for us to evolve into a more loving and just and inclusive people, there needs to be some change? Or, on a personal note, what needs to happen in order for me to meet the personal goals or challenges that lie ahead? What changes have to occur? The wonderful mystic William James said, believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create that fact. Here now, in this new year, is a place of new beginnings, wade down into the waters where Jesus came up to be baptized by John and began a prophetic ministry that changed everything. The new year offers us, on a different scale perhaps, the same. It's a time when we can look at our lives and decide to stop, to turn around, make some changes so that we can begin on a new slate.
Just follow.